Waleed and the Magi. Waleed came from a long line of proud and able camel masters. His Abi, his father, was a herdsman, as were his brothers, his grandfather, his great-grandfather, his great-great-grandfather. As far back as anyone could remember, his tribe were caretakers of the living ships of the desert, the long-limbed, hump-backed beasts with commodious cushions for feet. Some people thought of camels as ugly, but Waleed knew them to be awe-inspiring creatures, uniquely able to negotiate the stark beauty of vast desert sands. He thought of them marvelous, wondrous, an exceptional gift of the Creator. Some people thought of camels as ornery, even mean-spirited, but Waleed knew the valuable secret of raising lovely camels. If you raise a camel with kindness, with tenderness, the camel will in turn respond with sweetness. And so each morning Waleed brushed his camels gently and whispered assurances to these extraordinary beasts. He knew that the secret of kindness worked not only with camels, but with many kinds of creatures, including human ones. Waleed came from a Bedouin tribe, desert dwellers, humble, hospitable souls. They knew the beauty of the honey-red sands, and they knew well the dangers. They knew where the oases were and the date palms and the best feeding grounds for the herds. They knew how to navigate by the starry host, and generation upon generation, they knew how to round up goats and tend to camels. Now, a man has to have the right temperament to manage camels, a temperament that is both steady and flexible, strong and gentle, with quiet determination. A good camel master treats his camels with a calm authority. Young though he was, Waleed had grown into such a man. For several years, Waleed was honored to serve a group of wise Magi, prosperous astronomers from the East, who followed in the ways of the great Persian spiritual teacher Zoroaster. Waleed himself was no expert in spiritual matters, but like most Bedouin, he believed in God, the mystery of mysteries, the creator of every living thing upon the earth. And like most Bedouin, he was familiar with the ancient wise man Zoroaster, who was known not only for his sage guidance, but for the fact that he, like they, cherished camels. The Magi spoke of Zoroaster often, as if they knew him, which was, of course, impossible, for Zoroaster, perhaps the first great monotheist, lived 1,000 years before their time. Waleed had many opportunities to listen to the Magi, to read their hearts and minds, as he was quietly caring for their camels. He marveled at the depth of their thoughts. When the Magi first beheld the spectacularly bright star in the heavens, and when they first felt drawn to seek the king who was to be born beneath it, they reflected that Zoroaster had said, "With an open mind, seek the highest truth." These Magi were indeed great seekers, and their fervent searching would soon turn into a celebrated journey. The Magi told Waleed they would be leaving soon, and as they would be employing their camels, they expected him to accompany them. What a journey it will be, thought Waleed. As a Bedouin, part of a nomadic tribe, Waleed had traveled far and wide, but having seen this bright star with his own eyes, he knew this would be a journey the likes of which he had never before experienced. He suspected they would be gone for many cycles of the moon. This would mean, of course, leaving his tribe, his family, his father and mother, his brothers and sisters, and, hardest of all, he would be apart from the beautiful Dana to whom he was betrothed. Waleed had never before traveled anywhere without at least a few members of his tribe. How could he do it? But the other question on his heart was this: how could the Magi do it without him? These Magi knew the stars better than he, but he knew their beasts of burden. These Magi spoke several languages, but he spoke camel. He knew just how far they could be pushed, and he knew when they needed to rest. He knew how to drive away the wolves with fire to protect them, and like every Bedouin, he knew how to wield the sword when necessary. How could he not accompany the Magi? How could he not tend to their camels? One night, as Waleed was considering the journey, he had a powerful dream in which he was kneeling before a baby, and with great excitement, he wondered at the meaning of the dream. The Magi were determined to bring the most precious of gifts to the king. Therefore, they sent their servants to Muscat to buy the finest frankincense, myrrh, and gold, for there was no better market in the world in which to find such exquisite gifts. Waleed fattened the camels with saltbush in preparation for the journey, and he taught them using sign language to show reverence to the king to be born beneath the star. Blankets were prepared in traditional Bedouin colors of red like the desert sand, blue like the sky, and green like the date palm leaves. Food was readied for the journey: flatbread, salted fish, dates, and olives. Skins of water and wine were filled. They would travel northwest across the desert, hot under the sun, cool under the stars. They would sleep beneath endless heavens of stars and planets and ponder the meaning of the bright star which, in each inscrutable night sky, drew ever more wonder. The Magi would share their dreams, which were many and mysterious. Waleed would fend off the howling wolves, eager for a meal of fresh camel, but who, under his watchful eye, would have to settle for a Cape hare or a sand cat. At night, in dark stretches of stark silence, they would remember and contemplate the thoughts of Zoroaster, who said, "A reflective, contented mind is the best possession." The Magi would treat Waleed with respect, even honor, including him in their deep, companionable silences and mystical conversations. They spoke of the king to be born, the king they were traveling to see for themselves, the king they would worship with their costly offerings of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Waleed wished openly that he had a gift, an offering for this long-awaited king. He was not a wealthy man, he was a herdsman. The Magi were quick to tell Waleed that he was indeed carrying gifts, gifts that no sum of money could buy. "What gifts?" asked Waleed with astonishment. One of the Magi said, with tenderness in his voice, "Friend, do you not realize how gifted you are? You have brought with you the inestimable gift of wonder." Another Magi said, "He is right. You hold within you, Waleed, the gift of wonder, but you also carry the gift of courage. Do you not see with what inner strength you take on the wolves?" Waleed did not think of himself as a man of courage. He was simply doing what any good camel master would do to protect the herd. These camels were more than ships. They were lifelines. These great and glorious beasts carried them safely across great expanses. They led Waleed and the Magi along the Euphrates as much as possible to supply themselves with water. They would bring Waleed and the Magi to the bubbling edges of Babylon, where barley beer flowed freely, and to breathtaking Damascus, known for its spiced mutton. On they journeyed, following the magnificent star, the star that drew their souls like a magnet. The brilliant star led them to Jerusalem, where they inquired about the location of the newborn king. The priests and scribes told them they would find him not too far to the south, in Bethlehem. Sacred intuitions and shared dreams led them to flee Jerusalem and its frightening king Herod and head quickly for Bethlehem in Judea. There they would find not a despotic, full-grown king, but a tiny babe, vulnerable yet powerful beyond understanding, newborn yet full of grace and truth. A prince, proclaimed the Magi, a prince of peace. Waleed's mind spun with wonder. He thought of his family, of dear Dana, and wished he could share all of this with them. He thought of the wolves of this world, wolves like Herod with their toothy smiles and hearts of ill will. He wondered if this newborn king would survive. And he wondered at the creator of the universe, who led him on such a journey and was leading the whole world on this same imponderable journey. The Magi told Waleed that through God, this babe would bring wisdom and peace. But Waleed remembered something Zoroaster was known to have said: "No guide is known who can shelter the world from woe." When Waleed shared this concern with the Magi, they responded, saying, "Perhaps he cannot shelter the world from woe. And if King Herod has anything to say about it, his will be a life of woe." However, they continued with hope. God, who fashioned this universe, is more powerful than any earthly king. When Waleed and the Magi arrived at last in the modest town of Bethlehem and found the babe with his mother and father in humble surroundings, it seemed as if the whole world was there to celebrate. A host of angels seemed to encircle them. Beckoned by the angels, shepherds of the region were there to worship him, and sheep were nestled nearby. The Magi presented their treasure chests of gifts. They were awe-inspiring offerings and caused Waleed to wish again that he could have brought 3 such amazing gifts as these. The Magi had been kind enough to lift up his wonder. However, he could not wrap up his wonder and hand it to the baby. He hoped that somehow the infant king could sense the gift of his wonder. Then he remembered the camels and quietly brought them closer to the manger. When Waleed gave the sign, rolling his hand, the camels knelt before the babe obediently. He brought the gift of wonder, and through these beloved creatures, Waleed brought a second gift, the gift of humility. He joined the camels, lowering himself on bended knee in humble praise, recalling his dream. And then, as he watched the dear camels, Waleed realized that he had brought yet another gift, a third unpackageable, unpurchasable gift, a gift connected to the Magi, to the camels, to the desert, to the night sky, to the bright star, to the babe in the manger. He brought the gift of gratitude, overflowing gratitude to the Creator of all this, and deep gratitude for the hope that into such a world as this, a world incomprehensibly beautiful, yet sometimes overrun by cruel despots and hungry wolves, God had birthed a Prince of Peace. Amen. Please